Hello family, friends, relatives, subscribers. This is Janak Bhagat. I had a question from one of our subscribers saying if there is Reiki for spirituality, a spiritual path, and your spiritual guides. So I'm going to be making a video for spiritual path and the part of your spiritual guides. It's going to be two videos because spiritual path is different from spiritual guides. Let's get straight into the videos. So, how to connect to our spiritual guides? This Reiki is going to help you do exactly this. First, what is a spiritual guide or animal guide or any type of guide? When we say spiritual guide, it's a guide that is going to help you from the spiritual world. Same as animal guide. There are some people who can connect to animals more easier than a human form. This is help that is coming to us from the spiritual world. Now, in the physical world, we have guides as well, such as when you watch a video or somebody helping you in something, that is a guide or a teacher or a mentor. And it's the same way, a spiritual guide from the spiritual world is like a mentor. What happens is just that the communication is on a different wavelength. Here, when a spiritual person is talking to you, they will talk to you in different forms, in different signs like numbers, dreams. You can even get automatic writing, and sometimes you just get events that kind of connect, and that is a guided thing. So a spiritual guide or an animal guide generally refers to something or someone that is helping us in our spiritual path. Now, spiritual path or how to be more spiritual, we are going to do another video for that, but for now, how to connect to our guide. And sometimes we don't have different or many guides. Sometimes it's just our own inner self, the inner voice that we have. It's good to categorize it as a spiritual guide, because sometimes what happens is our egos comes in when we refer to spiritual guidance as our own. We tend to let our ego take over, and that deteriorates your spiritual path. So for now, we are going to send Reiki to how to connect to your guide. How best can you connect to your guide on a spiritual level? So I thank myself for being here. I thank Reiki for being here. I thank the person watching for being here. I thank all my spiritual guides and my animal guides for all the guidances. I cast aside my ego, and I request the same of you. So there is a process that needs to happen for us to be able to connect to our spiritual guides. And this process is, how would you communicate to your guide? Or how do you want them to communicate to you? My methods that I use are very much simple, in the sense that how I view a spiritual guide is very different from how you or any other person would view them. And so my viewing of a spiritual guide is like as if I'm talking to another human being or a soul. And so when I want to talk to my guide, I'll simply be talking like the way I'm talking right now. I wouldn't make it very complicated. So when I say I thank myself for being here and I thank my spiritual guide for being here, I'm simply saying that I know that my guide is here right now. See? I'm accepting that my guide is here with me right now. I'm not going very far into different states of meditation just to see them. I'm just thanking myself and my guide for being here, and that means that this guide is here already. And now I want to talk to this guide. So what am I going to do? I'm simply going to talk to him. Depending on what questions you are having trouble in. If they are for spiritual growth, I am 110% sure you will be able to get insights. Because that's why they are there. They are there for our spiritual growth. So when in the beginning, when I started healing, I also had a lot of thoughts of what a spiritual guide should be and should not be, what an animal guide should be and should not be. I had many ideas and all these things. But as the years passed, I learned that it's us who complicate things, being in the human form. So I'm sending Reiki so that you can understand how you would like to communicate with your guide, whether it be a spiritual guide or an animal guide. First, we don't want to know if it is spiritual guide or an animal guide. First, we want to know how to communicate with them. That is the doors we want to open. What is the best way to connect to your spiritual guide? Is it by writing? Is it by listening? Is it by visualizing? Which form is good for you? And then comes the form. What form would you like to see your animal guide or your spiritual guide in? What would you accept and not fear? What form would you accept and not fear it, and simply be with them? That is the form they will take. So first I would like you to at least visualize a white light engulfing you into a circle, so that is your protection barrier. And I'm also sending you an electric violet flame round circle, so that it's going to protect you from any negative entities or whatsoever. And now I would like you to ask in your mind, I request my spiritual guides to come forth. And so I want you to be in the presence of your guides. Sometimes we connect to our ancestral lineage and they are our guides. Sometimes they are completely different entities. Sometimes they are in animal form. Sometimes they simply come as souls or as energy light beings. But most of the times we connect to guides that are in our soul family, meaning that they are learning from you and you are learning from them. Very rarely we can connect to higher beings like Lord Buddha or Sai Baba of Shirdi, or sometimes all these enlightened masters that we hear about and talk about. Very rarely, depending on your soul growth, your karma, and what your job is going to be in the human world, that's when those beings enter our life. But generally, most of the times, whenever you connect to a guide, it is a guide that is in your soul family, or sometimes in your ancestral family. And most of the times, whenever you connect to a guide, there is a certain feeling that you can get. If you get more aware of yourself, then you will be able to pick these things up. Like for me, when I connect to my guide, the best way I connect to my guides, and you might have seen me doing this in all the healings that I've been doing, I normally close my eyes. But why do I close my eyes? Because I want my senses to sharpen. And that is why I close my eyes. Because once I close my eyes, my inner senses begin to sharpen. If I could also close my ears. Why? Because I want my inner perception and inner hearing to sharpen. So, when you do this, and when you close your eyes, now you are hearing what is happening inside your body. And if you're a person who hears your guides, then you will be able to get the signal much better with time. If you are a person who sees things, then you don't need to close your ears. You can just close your eyes and you will be able to connect to them. Sometimes people connect to guides in different ways. I connect to my guides when I'm showering. That's the maximum time I connect with them. That's the maximum time I'm talking to them. I get the best ideas when I'm having a shower. And this is because that's how it is. That's how I'm connecting to them. So there's no specific way to connect to a guide. Sometimes when there's an emergency healing or when there's something that's going to happen, you just start getting instinctively. what you've got to do, and that is your guides guiding you. It's not you see. So first thing is how to differentiate from you and your spiritual guide. That is what is more important in all this. So we are going to be sending Reiki for that now. How do you differentiate your thoughts from your spiritual guides? And let this Reiki help you understand the thoughts that your guides give you and the thoughts that are yours. If you have noticed, sometimes when I am healing, I may yawn or belch or have a heavy breath. That is also my guide. It's not me. Why I say this? Because if I was talking to you normally, I wouldn't do that. I know I don't do that. So when something out of the blue happens, especially when I do healings, and when I do one-on-one healings, I normally belch or yawn, and that is not something that I would do generally. And not one yawn or one belch, it would be continuous for that healing, one at least for 5-10 minutes continuous. I would either yawn or belch, yawn or belch. So there is something going on which is not me. So what is happening? It is the guide working through me as a channel. The guide is using me as a channel to channel their energy to the patient. So I know this because now I have been able to differentiate it. Sometimes when you're entering into this, you may not be able to differentiate the difference between you and your guide. So I want you to find the best possible method of you to differentiate your thoughts and your behaviors versus your guides' thoughts and behaviors. I request your guides to find the best method to communicate with you. So when I am stressed, I normally take a piece of paper and a pen, and I start drawing circles and lines and all these things. And then after I get tired, I'll start writing stories of whatever I feel like writing. I'll write until my mind becomes completely blank. I'll just remove everything as I write. Now this is the process of removing the clutter that is in the mind. And how do you remove it? You remove it by writing. Why writing and not speaking? Because when we speak, sometimes our defense mechanisms are alert, so we will lie to ourselves and try to suppress whatever it is that is disturbing us. And so writing, your throat chakra is not active at that moment because you are not speaking. So when you are writing it down, you are bypassing the mechanisms of ego and self-respect and self-identity and all these issues. When you start writing all the things that is disturbing you or giving you a problem. And in that writing, there will be pieces and bits of information that is coming through you by your guides. And normally when that happens, you should read it after a day or two, and you will see that some thoughts that are on that piece of paper cannot be yours. It is come from somewhere, and that has come from your guide. You see? So that is how you can connect to your guides as well. That is how I connect to my guides. I connect to my guides by closing my eyes and speaking to them generally, or I write. And in the beginning, the writing was the most easiest and most satisfying. I used to also ask, what is your name, and who are you, and how do you look like, and I had all those sorts of questions. But every time you'd ask that and you'd meditate, you'd keep on seeing different faces and different forms, never one same particular form. And so I just left it at that, because even they don't know what form they are in, because they are energy. So, and if you are in a particular mood, so if your mood is that of anger, then you might end up seeing an angry faced spiritual guide. If you're happy, then maybe you'll see a happy spiritual guide. You don't know what you're going to see, because your inner mind is communicating with you with your mood, how you are at that particular point. So sometimes it's pointless to ask your guide, what form are you going to come to see me with today? Unless and until it's an ancestral guide or a particular animal guide that is with you, then they will always have the same look or the form. But if it's just spiritual guides that are there who are helping you out of a particular situation, they will never come in the same form as you always imagine them. And so what's more important for us is how to get the information that they're giving us, so that we can use it for our own growth. Some spiritual guides come as mediums, whereby they enter your body to speak to you or speak through you, and in that process you may not remember what they speak, or sometimes if it is so clear, then you can work parallel with the guide. They are speaking to you, and you are also what's going on, you see. So sometimes they're channeling through your voice, through your throat. They enter your body and they speak to you, but the person that is sitting is also available at the same time. So it's not that all mediums go switched off and then the guide comes and speaks. That's actually a spirit possession, but also it's a guide at the same time. It's not a bad spirit. It's simply a spirit that enters your body and speaks through you. That is what we call mediumship. If you're a medium, then the best sort of medium you could get is when you and the guide both are working parallelly, so that what happens is, that you can hear this guide speak to you, and at the same time that your body is yours. So there's no mishaps that can happen during that sort of mediumship. And that type of mediumship is difficult to attain, but it's not impossible. You simply have to be aware of you and your guide, then everything will be sorted out. So for example, when somebody is facing through hardships in life, then they would, if the person is a person who wants strength, for example, and if they're sensitive enough, then they may be getting dreams, recurrent dreams of lions. And so lion is representing strength, you see, inner strength. And so you would be always seeing lions. Like when I was about 10 years before now, when I was just entering into the spiritual path, and in the sense that I was entering into the healing path rather, because I was always interested in healing. So I used to get a lot of dreams of lions attacking me, lions running after me, lions playing with me, me walking in the wild looking for lions, and all these things. So because I was always afraid in my life that how does healing work? It used to scare me that how can something work when you cannot see it, and yet I am a healer now. And you see, so I would get such dreams of lions. Lions would come even because of self-confidence issues, because I used to have self-confidence issues, and they used to come recurring every alternate day or every week. There has to be a lion dream in my dream journal. And as I worked on myself, the lion dreams reduced. But sometimes you would see a dolphin, you can see all sorts of animals which vibe with you in that order. And so I used to see a lot of lions until I went and got lion posters and lion statues, because I was like, lion is my guide, you see. So they keep on coming to you in different ways. They have communicated to me, my guides have communicated to me via dreams, via writing, and simply speaking through in my mind. These are 3 ways they communicate with me. And another way they communicate with me, which is always when I do my tarot. I'll always speak something that is not the card's meaning. That means that's my guide speaking to me, right? So the thing is, the most important thing in all this is, how do you understand your guide? There is a language you are supposed to make with your guides, and this language is only you and your guide. Nobody else can teach it to you. It's supposed to be learnt by you, because the way your guide speaks to you is the way your subconscious mind speaks to you. So for example, if I see an axe, that does not mean I need to go and cut a tree. What it's just simply saying is cut off the cords of this particular issue. If I would see a red car, then the red car does not mean that this person is going to buy a red car. It means that this person is agitated. It means that this person is angry. They are running away from something, or they are really getting angry very quickly. This is how I see it. So that language needs to be made by you and your spiritual guide. And so when you sit down and when you request your guide to come forth and you thank him to come forth or her, then you start communicating, and then you will be able to see the insights that they're giving you and how you perceive it with your subconscious mind, because symbolism is different for everybody. So in my dream, another dream I had, I saw an elephant. The elephant was running towards me, and I was standing right in front of the elephant, not moving. I was not frozen, I was not scared, I was standing there stable. So when I woke up, I'm like, okay, so there's an elephant like stress coming towards me, and I was standing confidently, meaning I will be able to handle it. In another dream I had was of a frog. This frog was not in a water pond. It was just outside, and it was croaking and making noise. And making noise, you see what I said? Making noise. So in the real world, this is what I thought, that I'm simply making noise in other people's lives. So these are the types of dreams and communications you can get from your guide. And this Reiki that we are sending through right now, as we've been doing it, we are actually trying to help you formulate your language with your guide. There's a book of understanding dreams, and in this book they're talking about symbolism and how to learn to disfear what you see. And this is where I learned from how to make your own language. So I have a book, I made a journal. Every time I saw something, I would write it, and then from there on I would be able to know what. Now I don't even refer to that book anymore, but it was like 10 or 15 pages at the most. I must have written all the types of symbols that I would say. And sometimes you can tell your guide, like the way me and you are talking right now, hey, you know what, if I get angry, I want to see a red car. You can do that. It's 100% possible. Or if you say, if you want to say about happy things, so what happy means to me is a love shape and a pink color, for example. So whenever your guide is trying to talk to you, they will give you the pink color and the love shape or the heart shape. This is how they communicate to you. So first you need to be able to give them the language that is easier for you to understand. That is how they will be able to communicate with you. The best way is to first you understand what concept and language you like, and this Reiki is for that. You need to understand what concept you would like your guides to talk to you with. If it's only tarot, then whenever you pick a tarot card, it's supposed to mean something to you without the original meaning of the tarot deck. And whenever you pick, let's say, 3 of Wands, it's supposed to mean to you something. That is how you can communicate with your guides. If it's ruins, then the same thing. A particular ruin is meant to you it's giving you a particular meaning, and your guide will always give you that meaning only then. So you have to tell your guide sometimes that, hey, listen, this is the meaning I want. If I see a wooden stick, it's supposed to mean that I want to move forward in life. Then that's what they'll always tell you. Whenever you feel like you're not moving forward, they'll keep on showing you a stick in your head. Then that you need to understand that means move on. So the language needs to be created, and you need to understand it so that your guides can give you the information through that particular language. Sometimes I would be speaking very fast. Sometimes I would be speaking very slow. Sometimes my voice tone changes. These are all awarenesses that I have, and I know that I am channeling the information as quickly as I can get it. See, these are all different stages of channeling particular information via spiritual guides. In fact, when sometimes I watch my own videos, I get amazed by what I was speaking, because I have no idea how that information came to me. And so this is how channeling works, or how your spiritual guide communicates to you. Sometimes you may say something and you may not even know that you can speak something like that. So that is your guide that has spoken via you. And this is how you can connect to your guides. So I hope this video has helped you understanding your spiritual guides, and I hope that you will be able to connect your guides better in the future. See you.